Welcome to the Game of Gymnastics podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So here we have Joe Cemlyn-Jones, who I've been training with for quite a few years now.
Yes.
You joined in Birmingham, when was it?
2020, just after COVID.
Right, so 4 years now, been training with you.
4 years.
I'm going to let you do the rest of your introductions.
Okay, so I am a professional gymnast. I've been doing gymnastics since I was 6 years old. And yeah, I'm also do eBay on the side for a little side hustle. And yeah.
Nice. So what would you say your biggest accomplishments have been in the sport?
That's a good question. I made the world selection in 2021 for the Tokyo World Championships for Team GB. So that was pretty big. That was really cool. Also, I've been to the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, and that was 2 years ago now. It's mad, that's 2 years ago now.
It's crazy.
It's mad, because I was speaking to Dan, actually. Next year, we can say next year's the Commonwealth Games.
Oh, yeah. Jesus.
That is mad, isn't it?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I reckon those two majors. When I was a junior, I did the Austria Future Cup, and I won the all-around. I also won the all-around in the Italian Autumn Cup as a junior, and also the Cottbus, I don't know what it's called, some Cottbus International as a junior. I won the all-around on that as well. Nice. So, nice. I reckon those 5 competitions are probably my biggest achievements.
Nice.
As a gymnast.
So I know you've been here, there and everywhere, and you've just alluded to that you came to Birmingham in 2020.
Yeah.
Where were you before that?
Before that, I was training in Falcons Gymnastics Academy down in Devon, so right down the southwest of the country. And before that, I was training in Bristol. So yeah, the journey's been a bit mad. Yeah.
You've been all around the shop.
Been around the block.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
What would you say the biggest differences in the sort of facilities and how training was like would be?
Yeah, it's all been a bit mad. So like obviously in city of Bristol, my first club, I trained there since I was six years old, and I was there until 10, 11 years old. And the equipment was good. It's a very good gym. And back then we were all training on Continental, and at the British Championships, it was Continental at the time and stuff, wasn't it, back then? So yeah, it was a really good gym, good facility. And then I had to change club to Falcons because my coach left. You know Phil Knock?
Right.
He does Gym Nova now. You see him at comps and stuff. Yeah. So he does that now. So then I had to make a choice so after leaving City of Bristol, then I had to leave there and find the next club. And the nearest 2 clubs were Birmingham, funnily enough, or Falcons. So I had to make a choice. But then I was already good friends with the guys down in Southwest because of the region. You know, we used to do those Southwest competitions, those regional competitions and stuff. So I already had a good relationship with them. So it kind of made sense for me to go over there.
Fair enough. Yeah. So how was it training there? And how does it differ?
It's difficult because training as a junior is very different to like senior gymnastics. You know, senior gymnastics is, you're very much in control of, what you're doing in the gym, and you have much more of a say on how you feel and stuff. But whereas, when you're a junior, you don't really have much of a say. You just kind of follow the program and just, So in that aspect, it's very different. But yeah, it was good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said it's a lot different. How does that differ in like comp prep versus just like trying to learn skills?
Compared to City of Bristol to Falcons?
Well,
or even,
to Birmingham even.
Yeah. It's a good question. Each coach has their different programs and stuff. Like, I don't think there's one golden formula. So like if you go from club to club, it's always different because, it's just, there isn't one way to success. So it's, everyone has their own plans and stuff. Mike had a good plan that really worked. But it was just different to, Lee's program. And it was Mike was very much like tailored towards like how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. So it was, you come in, let's say you had to do this, right? And let's say you were wasn't feeling very good. Your body was sore, maybe a bit fatigued, a bit tired, midweek or something. We would then like maybe alter the program depending on how you feel. Whereas in Birmingham, Leeds kind of like the opposite. We would do the program regardless of how we feel. Like, you wake up, you're fatigued, you've got 2 routines. We're going to do those 2 routines regardless. Like, but at Falcons, I wouldn't necessarily do that. So It's just different. And I think it does make you a tough, strong athlete doing those routines on days that you don't feel good, for sure.
Yeah. It's almost like if you can get through the routines on a day where you don't feel good, doing it on a competition is easy.
Yeah, exactly that. Because if you wake up on comp day and you're not feeling good, you didn't have a good night's sleep, so you're not 100%, and you haven't trained, you've only trained on 100%, you're not going to be ready.
Yeah.
Like anything can happen on comp day. So you got to be ready for that.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of working it, like trying to do it in all sort of environments that you could be in.
Yeah.
So when you're tired, when you're fit, healthy, whatever it ends up being.
But like I said, both amazing coaches, different traits, and there's no one like amazing coach, golden coach. It's just, everyone has their flaws and bad days. Like gymnasts have bad days. I think it was the week of British teams. I think it was on the Wednesday or something. I can't remember which day. I just couldn't do gymnastics. Couldn't do gymnastics. I was having a terrible day outside of gym, to be honest. So and then I brought that inside the gym and stuff. So then I struggled just with everything, just really struggled. I was having twisting problems, just awareness problems. Yeah, the week of the comp. Yeah, I couldn't do a vault, couldn't do a release, couldn't do any tumbles on floor. That was the week of the comp, and so it happens. Yeah. And Lee understood, and he didn't get stressed about it, which is another good trait that Lee has. He doesn't really show that, if he's stressed or, much emotion in regards to that. So then that doesn't make you stressed as much. If you have a stressful coach, high emotions and stuff, and you're having a bad day, then that just multiplies big time. I'm having a bad day. If you have an emotional coach, then they're having a bad day, then it's just a mess. But if you have a coach which doesn't show off that emotion too much, cold-headed, then I guess you get hopefully a better result with that. And it did help. Like, had a bad day that day, and then the next day I came in and it was completely fine. Had a really good session. Actually did. We had one routine on each, and I went all 6 clean, which I don't really normally do. So so it just shows that it happens.
Yeah, I was talking to Gabe, and we were talking about how it's really important to stay level, and having a level-headed coach can really help with that. So you don't go too far up and down, but if you've got an emotional coach, it can be easier to fluctuate. But it's the gymnast's responsibility, but the coach can also help a lot with that. Yeah, for sure. Obviously, the coaches have, a massive responsibility, in terms of coaching and environment and atmosphere and everything, So it is important. Yeah. But like I said, there's no, golden coach out there. It's not. Yeah. There's amazing coaches, but, everyone has their, moments and stuff. Yeah. And the more time you spend with someone, the more likely you are to find a fault in them. Yeah. And the more likely you are to clash heads.
Exactly that, yeah. Because we're spending more time with our coaches than our family.
For sure.
Yeah. So, you're bound to clash heads, like you said. You're bound to, see them on their bad days, because we're there so much. You're going to see them on their worst days, which does bring us closer. Really close. With every coach I've worked with, from City of Bristol with Phil Knock, to Mike Beagley, to Lee Walls, Luke Farwell. We're all so close. It doesn't matter which coach you have, because you're spending that many hours with them, you're bound to be close. I Phil was my coach when I left when I was like 10, 11 years old. And when I go to comps and he's working with Jim Nova, it's like I've seen him like yesterday. Like nothing changes. And that's because we have that bond. And I was really young. Like really, really young, but still, like, he's like a father figure,
Yeah, having that connection is really important as well. So not only can you understand that they'll have bad days, but they also understand that you have bad days. And it's more of a cooperative effort rather than them just sort of telling you what to do.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, because gymnastics is quite easily to be really regimented and strict. And
I think it's changed.
Yes, for sure.
I think it's changed. I think, it's getting better. Yeah, like you said, it was really like that, growing up and stuff. And it was very much, strict.
Yeah.
Obviously, on the men's side, it wasn't as bad as the women's side. I could always see in the gym, like, I always look over to the women's program. I'm like, are they even having fun? Like, we're here smiling and they're struggling. But yeah, it's definitely, the time has changed now, and like having fun in the gym is the most important thing. If you're not having fun, then why are you doing the sport? You got to enjoy what you do.
Exactly.
Otherwise, there's no point of doing it.
Yeah, and enjoying it, having fun with it also makes it so much easier to like get through the tough days. Because then there's a light at the end of the tunnel when it's just all like suffering.
Yes. A lot of suffering, a lot of pain, a lot of injuries, a lot of setbacks. But then you got to think of why you're doing it. What are your goals? Are you enjoying it? And just, think about those three things. And if you're not ticking those three things, you got to really rethink, why you're here.
Got to reevaluate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So going more onto the training side of things, what would you say your favorite piece to train is? Not like competing,
okay,
but just to train.
Train during a comp rep, or train during like off season?
Let's have both.
Okay, right. Let's go off season. P bars or high bar off season. Right. Yeah. Because you can get some good fun skills there. Chucking releases on bar, P bars, you can get some good skills, some good fun skills. It's all about having fun. Like everything I just said right there, just further explains like why I'm in the gym, because I have fun. Like chucking skills on high bar, like releases on high bar, it's just good fun, and P bar is good fun, So yeah, so I say off season those two pieces, in season in comp prep. Oh, that's a good question. None.
Suck.
Yeah, it's an in and out job during comp season. What would I enjoy? Definitely not P bars, because I suffer with like a hand injury all the time, because my hand keeps splitting open. You've seen multiple times. I have so many underbar elements in my routine that if I do a full routine in training, it just splits open, like you've seen in the comp. Like it just splits straight open. And I can't train a full routine. I don't train them. I can't. My hand doesn't last. It will just split. So I have to do it in parts. Like the only time I'll put my hand up and do a routine, 10 elements from start to finish, is comp day, because my hand can't tolerate the load on it during training.
Would you say that makes it harder to get through a routine in comp day?
For sure. If I had a perfect hand and it didn't split, would I be a better P-bar worker? I reckon so. Because I'll be doing more numbers, just more numbers. And then with more numbers comes more confidence. And then with more confidence comes hopefully a better result. So I would say, yeah, but there's nothing I can do about that. So I don't get down about it, because I can't change it. What I have done is adapt my training to my hand, so that I'm able to perform P-bars. So that's all I can focus on. And even so that I've got a bad hand, I'm able to still perform a very good P-bar routine. So So I think it is working, but you just have to adapt to fit your style. And yeah.
And even when you have to do a pike press on one bar.
Pike press on one bar, roll the clip.
It was a good routine, all things considered, honestly.
Cheers, thank you. Yeah. We gotta
You
go
did very well to get all the way through that.
Yeah.
Just for context, do you want to explain what happened?
Yeah. Okay. Right. So second element in my routine at the British Championships, British Team Championships, I did an under summy to one rail, and out of it, I'm supposed to go under summy one rail and then heely out. It's just like another skill out of the element, and I was falling outside of the P-bars. So instead of dropping off onto the floor and taking the fall, I muscled through it like a beast and did like a planche pike press out from the side and then back into the middle, and then fully composed myself and did the rest of the routine. But at that point, I was like, okay, we're going to have to make this uber clean now, because I've just lost the skill, didn't do the healy out, and would have lost, deductions on the element. So it's like, it's a big hit, second element in, and it's still got 8 elements. So yeah, we had to go in big.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You did very well to get all the way through.
Thank you.
Very well to get all the way through.
Yeah.
Because, especially considering you don't train a full routine.
Don't train it. But I still have the fitness. Felt completely fine.
Oh, fair enough.
So it just shows that, like, you can get fit on the apparatus, not necessarily doing full routines. Being genuinely fit and strong and healthy will really help, get from start to finish on a PBO routine. You don't necessarily have to, do a PBO routine to get fit. Like 20 swinging pirouettes with a weight jacket. That is more physically harder than doing a PBO routine. Like 20 swinging pirouettes with a weight jacket. It is really hard. Like, it burns the shoulders more than it would at an end of a routine. So, like, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, the routine is more technically difficult, but physically.
Physically, yeah.
For sure. Would you say fitness on other pieces helps fitness on P-bars?
Do they correlate?
Yeah.
I would say so, but not all of it. So, like, the pain you get in your shoulders at the end of a P-bar routine, you won't get that on floor. But in terms of, like, cardio, that will correlate a little bit. If you're already fit on one apparatus, let's say high bar, fully fit on it, and you could do a routine from start to finish, you're already probably more fit to do a pommel routine than if you wasn't fit on high bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think high bar is like one of the hardest pieces to get fit for.
Yeah. We'd like to swear.
You can if you want.
High bar's a bitch.
Thing is, training high bar, just like skills, like you said, really fun.
Good
I
fun.
love it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to routines, I find myself dreading high bar routines.
Yeah.
Literally dreading it.
In a program, when you've got like 2 in each, you would try and get your harder pieces done first, and high bar is definitely one of them.
It's always one of them.
Yeah, it's tough. It's so tough.
Yeah, even if you got like an easy routine.
Yeah.
Still.
Because as well, like, it's not one of those pieces that, like, on floor, you go from start to finish. If you fall on a tumble, it doesn't really impact your routine fitness. But on high bar, if you fall, you miss the release, and especially over pit, you land in the pit, you chalk up again, you get back on the high bar. That could be like 45 seconds to a minute, between falling off and getting back on the apparatus. Where if it's any other apparatus, you're back in the flow of the routine straight away. So it doesn't really impact the fitness and like the flow of the routine. But on high bar, it really does.
Yeah, I've noticed that. And it's very easy to fall off on releases, especially when you're not like really used to them and doing them in combination as well. I've found that doing certain releases is so much easier on their own. But then as soon as you stick like a squat half before it, you just suddenly can't catch the bar.
Honestly, it's mad, isn't it? So you like train, let's say a casino, you go cast in training, cast, casino, But then when you're starting to do it in routine prep and you just add like a backup rise before it, you're suddenly, oh my God, I'm so tired. And literally a backup rise is literally you're hanging and you just go there and half turn. Literally is nothing.
It's like 2 swings.
It's literally 2 swings, which you do as like a rec kid will do.
Yeah.
But if you do that before your hard skill and you don't normally do it, it tires you out.
Yeah.
It genuinely tires you out, and the skill feels different.
Yeah, you have to like adjust to doing it. It's like a different skill almost.
Yeah.
Doing it on its own, doing it in a routine.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then if you end up like wanting to do, a skill before that skill, and then even to add that skill later on, and you train it at the beginning, like it's just a different ball game. Like adding in skills, knowing that it's not going to be in first and it's got to be in later in routine. Like it's got to be so consistent. You got to be so comfortable doing it, so you can just do it anywhere. Just being comfortable at being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I've noticed with my routine, as I've gotten more and more comfortable with each of the releases, every like new release I put just in front of the one before, so that everything else just moves back. Kind of. I put a squat half at the start, start, and then I just do the releases in the sequence that I learnt them.
Yeah.
So straight catcher, then Kovac, then straddle, because I learnt straddle first, then Kovac, then straight.
That's a bit mad. I'm not gonna lie to you, because as well you got to think of the flow. Because I know what you're saying with that. I've never heard anyone say that in my life.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Because basically, I did start it by doing Kovac, then straight, then straddle. Yeah. But I found that Kovac, you don't really need that much energy for. It's just technique and timing.
Sure.
But straight catch, if I really needed energy for, because I did it from handstand rather than from a full action. So I found that doing my straight catcher first wasn't actually that bad for the Kovac.
Yeah. When I was doing straight catcher and Coleman and Cove, I was doing straight catcher first before those releases.
Yeah.
So I was the same. So yeah, that's no different. But then doing straddle after is just a bit, But then you don't want to do straddle before those.
Yeah.
It's just a different ball game. For a non-gymnastics person, this is going to make no sense.
Absolutely not. Yeah, like you don't realize how much you actually have to think about these like little nuances, these little things before you actually do the sport itself.
Yeah.
And there is so much more that you can go into.
So much more.
So much depth and intricacy. And
That's where like training the skills before you put in a routine, like in combination, is so important. So when I was learning my cuts, I was already putting it in combination before I could just about do my cuts, but I was putting it in combinations just to get the numbers. Even if I was failing, I was just getting in combination just so I can just get the numbers, get it in. Because being able to do a perfect Makuts by itself with pads, with mats and stuff, like, is a different skill than doing it. I'm gonna have to have it in like fourth in my routine. So if I'm training it fresh, and I've got to put it in fourth, like, it's not the same. So I have to train it after something. I've got to do it. Got to get the numbers in. And that's just where like training smart comes into play. You learn a new skill and thinking, I've got a perfect skill. I can do it perfectly by itself. But it doesn't matter. Like, you've got to be able to do it when you're not feeling good. When you're like, fourth skill in a routine. Yeah.
Yeah, mine will be quite late going into like next code. I've thought about like the routine I could probably work towards on P-bars. And I mean, for one thing, I'm going to need a lot of pirouettes, because you can't, it's a weird thing and I haven't talked about it yet, but basically on P-bars, if you do a swing up to handstand, you can't then do a skill that swings down from handstand.
Yeah.
So if you're a gymnast, you might know this. If you do a Healy swing to handstand, you can't then do a Diamondov swing down from handstand.
Yeah, you have to do it.
You have to do a pirouette or a skill like Gatson, or if you really want, you can do a straddle front out of it. But I don't think many people will be able to do that. So there's just going to be a ton of
pirouettes. And they just want us to go in the same direction that you've swung down in.
Yeah.
Or swung up in.
They don't want as many handstand holds, basically.
Yeah. Like Covden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I hold my handstands for a long time, I think.
Me too.
Yeah, I take a long time.
Yeah, like before I do my under semi-half, I'm always in handstand for like 5 seconds.
Yeah. And then would that be under semi-half? because you're doing the half. You can then come down.
You
that
can
way.
then come down. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Stutz.
Stutz.
You can then come down.
Yeah, you can come down that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit confusing when you get to skills like that because it's sort of like you are swinging to handstand, but it's not a.
But then for
swing to
under
handstand.
summy to 1, Healy out.
It's the Healy out, so it's the swing to handstand.
But like if you think about it, under summy to 1, you have to carry on this way, but you have to do it.
But you have to do Healy out, so it is still fine.
Yeah.
I think with under summy and stuff like that, you do sort of come up in the handstand from just directly below it. So I think it would be fine to come out forwards. It's just not many people would.
Yeah, I don't know.
Except for
The code
if you're doing a Healy out.
This new code is mad.
Yeah, there's so many different things that they've added. What kind of things do you want to put in for next code?
Next code, obviously the Y scale on the floor.
Of course, yeah.
Super excited for that. I think every gymnast listening right now is, feeling the same. Maybe do the arabesque or Y scale. Don't know which one I'll put in yet, but yeah, I'm excited for that.
It's really annoying that you have to put that. You have to put that in.
I can't believe it. I actually can't believe it. I think we should all sign a petition and do a rebellion, and everyone don't do it. So then it doesn't matter. Everyone takes the deduction, and everyone's on the same level.
That's true.
Level playing
That's
field.
true.
I think we should just do that because it's terrible.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
really
but
is.
it's terrible. All jokes aside, honestly, it's so naff. Like, imagine doing those big tumbles, and then busting out a Y balance. Who in their right mind is gonna think, "Oh, that's cool"? Like, come on, man. That honestly, I can't. I don't want to get started on this because I get really riled up about it. But god damn it, man, what are they doing?
It really is bad. Like, it just doesn't look good.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
No.
We haven't even got a choice. Gymnastics it's all been about making your own routine up. You can just do whatever, and it's just amazing the sport, that anyone can be involved because you can just go on any skills from the code that you want and just create your routine. That's the beauty of it. But now they're adding in an element group that you have to do, and it's limited to 2-3 skills, and it's got to be a single leg balance. What? Where did they come up with that?
Yeah, the thing is, with all the other element groups, it makes sense why they're in the routine.
A dismount, a double somersault, and all that business. It's such a wide range that you can pick from. But a single leg balance. Yeah. Where did they even come up with that?
And even stuff like a handstand on rings. Yes, not everyone can do that, but it should be in the routine.
Yeah, it's like the fundamentals of the apparatus.
Yeah.
A single leg balance on a floor is not a fundamental part of the routine. So yeah, it's terrible. But I think we should sign a petition, start a rebellion, and
make sure this gets out.
What else am I gonna add in?
Not specifically for next code, just what sort of things are you looking to put in next year?
I've been working casino, as you've been witnessing in the gym, being on that casino grind. So I think that'll be big. Maybe squat half common as well. So those 2 releases, I really want to get a bigger high bar routine going. So I think those 2 releases, but then getting that casino consistent and then in a routine, it will be first element. So it won't be too different from training it. But yeah, just the consistency, because all bars are different. The Gymnova bar is so different to the Spieth bar. And then even our Gymnova bar is so different to a comp bar. And non-gymnasts out there, they're probably thinking, well, it's just a bar. What's the difference? They're just so different.
Yeah.
Each bar is so different. And as well, having it on podium is another variable as well. So it's just another ball game when it comes to that. And that just comes with experience and stuff, being able to adapt from bar to bar, knowing that like at the British teams, the bar was so bouncy. Everyone was like, oh, we need it tighter. No, the bar is the same tension as it was at home. But the difference is the bar is a newer bar. It's a different style, and it's just a bouncier bar. So you've just gotta, if it's just bouncier, maybe just take off, the speed. Don't need to put as much aggression into your actions and stuff. You can't let the bar do the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which might sound like it makes it easier, but when you're so used to having to work it really hard
Yeah.
and put so much power into it, then it just throws you off, and it can change the timings of your actions, and like you kind of have to like slightly adjust it. But when you're so used to one specific way of doing it, it just, it can
That's
throw
where,
you off.
if possible, when in training and in comp prep and stuff, actually going from go to train in different clubs is really useful, because getting used to your bar at your home, in your surroundings, in that environment, and then going from that to a competition, you're gonna freak out, because you're like, well, it's so different. There's so many different variables that you're not gonna perform as well as if you was in your own club. So like trying to go to another club for a training camp for a day, getting on a different piece of apparatus, so then it just is different. So you'll be able to adapt. Being able to adapt is so important in gymnastics. You know, it's really, really important, because, you know, training is all good, but if you're not being able to adapt, you know, to a different apparatus, you know, then it's not going to go well in competition, well, as well as you would hope.
Yeah. And like thinking about it, what we do in training is a lot of just making sure we do the same thing over and over and over again. And usually that would be in the same sort of scenarios over and over again. But you, like you said, adaptation is so important, not just in the sense of adapting to different equipment, but like adapting to the different circumstances you're in, like the amount of time that you have before a P-bars routine, stuff like that. Like actually practicing to get your grip done like really quickly. Like it's so important to be able to adapt to the different situations you're in. Like I didn't adapt very well in British teams when I had my high bar routine. I was like last up in the entire rotation. I had to like chuck my guards off and then get on floor to warm up floor.
But did I don't know if I said to Lee or I said to you, I was sat down on the we had 2 minutes. You have 2 minute floor warm up. Once you line up in front of the judges, you get about 2 minute warm up touch on floor before your routine. And I was still out of breath from high bar to floor. And I saw you stressing about still trying to get your stuff on ready for floor. And I was like, I don't know if I said to you, I said, did I say this? Did I tell you that?
I don't think you said it to me. I think you must have said it to Lee.
I think I said to Lee, I was like, he needs to chill, because like, you know, just we're fit, we're ready. You know what the floor's like just trust it, you know, just don't use the 2 minutes and just rest, you know, take the rest. There's just no stress. Like in that 2 minutes, I sat down, I jumped, I think I told you this. I did a handspring tuck front and a tuck back. And I was like, okay, my legs are working. I'm fine. Like I know how to do the tumbles. As long as you're fit, you're healthy, and you're warm and you're mobile, like that's it. You know, you don't need to do anything else.
Yeah.
Like it's all in the head at that point. You got to be mentally strong, you know, to be able to trust yourself to perform the routine, you know, by doing, I haven't warmed up my, you know, round of 2.5, you know, or my handspring 2.5 or so. Like, I won't be able to do the routine now. No, that's just not how it works. Like you've got to be so confident, like, and trust yourself that even if I do no warm up, I can still do a routine. At some comps, I don't even do a warm up.
Yeah.
I don't even warm up at all. I don't even do the hour, you know, because as long as your body is warm, that's the main thing. Your body's warm, it's mobile, and you're ready to go. That's it. Doesn't matter how much warm up you do. Don't win the warm up.
Yeah.
Don't win the warm up.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, like I guess that sort of helps making podium training so important for you.
Yeah.
Like just to make sure you are actually used to the equipment before then not warming up, because you have to then sort of rely on the memory of what the kit was actually like.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
Cammy actually spoke to me about this at the British teams, and he came to me at podium and was like, Joe, you don't really warm up, do you? And I was like, so in podium, you're not going to do anything? I was like, no, it's the opposite. Podium, I would do a lot. I would touch base with all the apparatuses, do my skills, get really comfortable with the environment, the apparatus and stuff. But then on comp day, I don't necessarily do as much, because, you know, as long as I'm comfortable, you know, with the apparatus and the surroundings and stuff, then that's fine. Like you don't need to warm up as much. Like you just don't. As long as you're comfortable, then that's the main thing.
Yeah. I was going to mention actually, you mentioned that you were puffed out after high bar, like
Yes.
during the floor warm up.
Yeah.
Just to make it clear, you were second up on bar. You were second up on bar. There was two people after you. There was Gabe, and then there was me.
Yeah.
And you were still tired before floor.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, that's doing the routine, presenting, them doing your score, then Gabe going, then them doing his score, then me going.
Yeah.
And then moving around to floor.
Yeah, like the rotations were so quick.
They were really quick. I looked back at the videos. The time difference between my first routine and my last routine was an hour and like 3 minutes.
Yeah, which is crazy. And that's where actually training that as best as you can is really important. So like doing those quick rotations in training. So it like instead of doing a routine, you present in training, and then you take your time and stuff. You go and have a drink and then go to the next apparatus. But actually, you know what? In comp, you're staying locked in. You're going from apparatus to apparatus. There's no time to chill and go on your phone. You don't go on a phone in your competition. It's going to be quick. Not always, but it tends to be pretty quick. So you've got to train that. You've got to go from, you do your routine in training, and then you go to the next apparatus and you do your routine. And then you build that endurance as well. Because going, like you said, still tired from one apparatus to the other, it is important that you train that because it happens like it did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because as well, I was, for that competition, it's not on like an order on a score sheet. You go first up, next apparatus, second up. This was a team comp, so the order is completely different. It can be any order that we want. So I was second up on bar, and then I was like first.
You were first up.
And then first up, and then pummel. I was like, it doesn't correlate. Or did it?
You were third up on. It didn't.
It didn't correlate whatsoever. So then you can't think, oh, I'm first up on bar, or now I'm going to be last up on floor, so I have a bit more time. But for the team comp, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. So what's sort of next for you after British teams? So what are you working towards now?
All right, this year, so currently off season now, so having some time off in gymnastics for like 2 weeks, 2-week break, reset the body, reset the mind and stuff, because it's been a big comp season. Like the first half of the year has been big. I've had like 11 comps in the first first half of the year, so it's been big. So giving myself a break, reset the body and the mind and stuff, and then back in it for the second half of the year. We've got the next comp coming up would be, for me, the Northern Europeans for Team Wales. And that's in Dublin. I've never been before, so I'm really excited for that. And then after that, I'm booked in for, I believe, 7 Bundesligas, and then potentially two top 12s at the end of the year as well. So it's a massive comp season at the end of the year. So that's why I try and break it up into halves and then have a break in the middle. Because if I don't have a break now, then I won't have a break until December. Yeah. So, have that time, respect yourself, your body's the temple. So yeah, it's important to respect it, fuel it, like a car. You don't put in crap for your car because it's not going to go anywhere. So yeah, if you keep driving, your car's going to break down. Just like a body. You keep, working your body, it's going to break down.
Yeah.
So, an MOT.
Yeah. Which you told me that I very much needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Take a break.
Yeah, I did actually go to physio about the shoulder. And he did advise that I have a week off.
Yeah. And are you?
No. The thing is, Luke just... The thing is with Luke, he always emphasizes the importance of being in the gym constantly and constantly being working. And he always justifies it with, we're nowhere near where we want to be right now, which is true. I want to be so much.
But you want to be fit and healthy. You can't get to where you want to be injured. Yeah. And you can't get healthy and fit from an injury in the gym.
Yeah.
You've got a shoulder injury, you've got an ankle injury, you've got a bad finger, a bad back. Come on. You got to think at that point, right, what can I do in the gym? Not a lot. Okay, right. Maybe let's take a break, rest, get my body fit and strong and healthy again. So then when I get back in the gym, I can hit it hard again. You can't hit it hard when injured. You can't. You're just really limited on what you can do. And as well, by being in the gym can actually prolong, the recovery process, because you're in the gym, you get excited, you see people do skills, you see people training, you're like, oh, I want to be there. You try and push yourself that little bit more. You think it's okay. Next day, shoulders a little bit more sore. You're in that cycle. You need to break that cycle, But that comes with experience and stuff. You're still very young, and, and it's learning, best ways to train and, treat your body and stuff. Because you've only got one run at this, in gymnastics. You can only do it for a certain period of time. You can't have a break, 10-year break and then come back to it. You can't So if you just wreck your body at the beginning of your career, you're not, the second half of your career is going to be tough because you've already broken it. So it's really important to take care of your body. It really is. I really emphasize that.
I like just going into the gym because A, it gives me something to do.
Yeah.
And B, it's also I feel guilty for not going in. And if I can go in, do what doesn't hurt.
That's not good, I was the same. What you just said there, you were like, I feel guilty for not going in. It's not good. It's not a healthy way of living. I was like that. I was exactly like that. But that's not healthy, bro. It actually genuinely isn't. That's not a good way of looking at it. You've got to respect yourself and trust your process of how you're going to be the best gymnast. By you not going in the gym doesn't mean that you don't care about being the best gymnast. That doesn't mean, I'm not going to go in today. I don't care. I don't want to be the best gymnast. No, you've got to trust your own process of being the best gymnast. If that means being the best gymnast is having that rest to have a better shoulder, that's going to be a better outcome than going in the gym and hurting your shoulder more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by having that rest, you got to respect yourself to have that time off, and trust the process, which is what I'm doing now. I could have the same mentality, I need to be in the gym now, I'm having 2 weeks off. That's terrible. I should feel so guilty. Before, I used to think that. Before, I wouldn't let myself have the time off. I wouldn't let myself because I think, I'm not doing everything I can to be the best gymnast. But I am. I've got to have that rest. You've got to. Because otherwise, you'll just die out. You will.
Yeah. I've never even really tried to have time off. I've never really seen what it really does to my body. When I've got an injury, because when I've had injuries in the past, I've always gone into the gym straight away. When I broke my ankle, I did it on the Saturday of the English. We always have Sunday off, and then I was back in on Monday.
Yeah. You know what I did?
I didn't take a day off.
You know what I did as soon as I hurt my ankle?
Yeah.
The day I hurt my ankle and it puffed up massive. Mm-hmm. I bought myself a new game for the PlayStation and a new headset because I knew, you know what? I'm going to be off gymnastics, off my foot for, I don't know how long. I got this before the scan. I bought it before the scan. Literally, as soon as I hurt my foot, I was like, all right, I'm going to need some time off now. Okay, so to distract myself from gymnastics, play a video game or something, distract yourself. Because like you said, you're going to have those thoughts, I need to be in the gym. But if you can't be in the gym, then you can't, get yourself for not being in the gym because you physically can't, because it's destructive. It's not good. It's not healthy. You got to respect yourself.
Yeah.
But that just comes with experience and stuff. I was the same, feeling guilty for not being in the gym. There's a difference between an injury and a niggle. There's an injury that you're going to cause more damage to, or there's a pain which isn't getting worse and it's manageable.
Yeah.
There's two differences.
Yeah.
And only you will know the difference.
Mm.
And only you will understand where to push and not to push. The coach can't tell you that. The coach can't feel your own body, how you feel it. Only you can feel how your ankle feels on a tumble. A lot of the time, for instance, floor and stuff, I struggle with getting that ankle range in my last tumble, the triple twist. Yeah. So I don't always train that on the floor. I would do a full routine on the floor and I'll do the triple twist on the track. And then but if I had your mentality, I would make myself do it on the floor. It sounds like you would still do it on the floor because it sounds like you would I need to do it on the floor. But no, respect your body. adapt your training to how your body is. Maybe do it on the track, save the ankle, because when it comes to competition, would you rather have a better ankle, fully fit, or have a worse ankle, but you've done the tumble on the floor, but your ankle's now more sore? You would take a better ankle, But it depends. If it's a tumble that you're not comfortable with, then that's maybe a bit different. But if it's a tumble you're comfortable with and you can do, but your ankle is sore, then there's no stress. People won't think less of you by doing less. Actually, you're doing the smart thing. He's a smart gymnast. He's a mature gymnast, who takes ownership of his training program. That's what I would see. You having time off to rest your body, that's ownership of your training program.
Right. Because I've always thought of it as like the easy way out rather than thinking of it as necessary.
You coming in the gym and struggling and not doing anything it's not beneficial. You can still come in, let's say for an hour, see everyone, do a core circuit, get it done, but quick, efficient, and get out, or you can stay in there for 4 hours and paddle along and do not a lot. And just two different ways of looking at it.
You've had differing injuries in your career, obviously.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate between them being serious or non-serious, and what's like sort of the way you go about dealing with each of them?
Right. So the injuries that I've had, the big ones, my ribs, breaking my ribs, my spine, L4, L5, shoulder surgery after Commonwealth Games. I would say those three are the biggest defining moments of my career. So the shoulder injury was during the Commonwealth prep. I was suffering with shoulder pain, and it was in the right shoulder. And throughout the whole prep, I was really struggling with basically putting my arm above my head. It was sore. So training literally gymnastics was tough. But at that point, because we were building for the Commonwealth Games, the biggest major for Team Wales, I couldn't not do it. I was adapting my training, so I was still able to do a lot, but I was just, adapting it. So, I was trying to be as sensible as I can. But when building for a major, you've got to put in the numbers. So there's no way around it. There was no time to rest, unfortunately. I keep saying to you that, it's important to rest, but at this point couldn't fit it in, had to do the trials and then had to get fit, so I had to push through. And it was difficult. I was on several meds, injections, to help numb the pain. So basically I had in the bone up here, I had two bones clashing together, like the hook bone up here, it's clashing together. So every time I was moving my arm above my head, it was bone on bone clunking, really bad clunking every time my arm was like above here. Really, really bad. So I made like the strength skills on rings. There's a picture out there. I did Homna cross, and also what else I do? Homna cross and backup cross. Something I can't really remember. There's a picture of me. I had to, for me to be able to hold the cross, I had to rotate my shoulder in a position where it was less painful. This shoulder was still strong and stable, so I was able to have this one out straight, but this one was rotated like this. So I was doing cross like this, literally like old, and when they used to do it like this.
Yeah,
literally like this. There's a picture out there, and it was so bad. There was no way around it. So after day one at Commonwealth Games, I qualified for the all-around final and the floor final. The morning after day one, I couldn't got out of bed, I couldn't lift my arm up above here. I had to compete the next day in the all-around final, and I couldn't lift my arm up above here. Literally, I couldn't do this. I was like this. I phoned my coach, Pete, and I was like, Pete, I can't lift my arm up. He's like, what? I can't lift my arm up above halfway. So the whole of the day, I spent with the doctor trying to get some mobilization in my shoulder, something back. I just couldn't do this. I couldn't lift my arm up. let alone compete. So then that was really tough. So then we had to make a decision. I was like, Pete, like, I want to do the all round, but I actually can't. Like, I actually physically can't. I can't lift my arm up. There's no way around it. So then I had to pull out. And then luckily the floor final wasn't for a couple of days. So then it gave me time to like try to, get some movement back in my shoulder again. We did. I was able to, but it was sore. It was painful. And yeah, it was a struggle. But I wanted to do something again. But yeah, so that was really tough. And then after that, having some time off and stuff. Yeah, that was really difficult. Stepped away from gymnastics and stuff, had surgery, and yeah, it was difficult. So that whole prep was so mentally draining, dealing with, an injury and stuff, like a major injury. And then, maybe not performing as best as I, would have liked, it was tricky. And then having time off and stuff and stepped away from gymnastics. Yeah, it wasn't nice. Yeah, it wasn't easy. So that was one defining moment. My ribs, when I broke my ribs, so I was on high bar. This is why I don't trust catch-ups as much as I used to. This is why, you don't see me do catch-ups very often because of this moment. I used to be so good at catch-ups. Used to be so confident. I was doing Lukins when I was younger. I didn't catch any, but I was 15 years old doing Lukins and stuff. I got videos of it. But yes, I did a release combo on high bar, and then one of my third releases was straight catch F. And then I've gone, the guard has slipped off, and I'm in the air, and I've landed on the bar on my ribs, and I've broken 2 ribs, and I couldn't breathe. And I crawled out the pit, and I was like this, couldn't breathe. And then, it was bad. I then drove home, and this is when I was obviously training down in Devon, but I was living with my parents at the time in Bristol. So I drove from Devon to Bristol with 2 broken ribs, and I was driving like this. And then I crawled into the house. I remember Mum was like, what the hell? Literally watching your son crawl through the door. And I was like, she was like, what have you done? I was like, my ribs are done. Ribs. I think I broke my ribs. And then, so this is where I'm trying to speak to you about this, where I tried to train through this to get ready for the British Championships. So I then tried to train through broken ribs, thinking I could do some things, thinking that the British teams, I need to do it. It's the most important thing. At the time, you're like, wow, I need to do the British Championships. I need to do it. It's fine. I train through it. It's so silly. At that point, you need to stop. If I had a time machine, I would stop myself there and then. You've got an injury, rest. This is where I've now tried to get this mentality going, because I've been through it. And yes, I tried to train through broken ribs, and yeah. So then it's the second defining moment. And then the other was when I done my L4, L5 spine. That was just I was, I think maybe 16, growing up and stuff. So, trying to push through floor with back pain. And then, before I knew it, it was a stress response. And then before I knew it, stress fracture, so yeah. So then I was advised 6 months off. So then at that point, I booked, a flight, and I, had a massive break, went traveling and stuff, and I had some time off away from gymnastics so I didn't think about it. And I, fully had that rest and recovery and stuff. And then I came back to training. I was fully fit, fully healthy, and I was all good to go again. But that break was really, really important. If I didn't have that break and I was still trying to come to the gym, I don't know what I would have done. It's so demoralizing being in the gym and not being able to do anything. That's where, if you're injured, having that something else to do, because gymnastics isn't everything in the end of the day. It's not the end all. Feels like it at the minute, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, and what you were saying earlier about like you think that it's the biggest thing in your life ever when you're just like looking at the next step, like the British champs in your case, when it was your ribs.
Yeah.
But you have to think about the next step and then the next step.
Yeah.
And what you're going to do after you've made the injury even worse and you've competed, but you haven't done as well as you could have because you've got a messed up rib cage.
Couldn't prepare, you haven't got a good preparation. You're not going to compete very well. What are you going to get out of it? Absolutely nothing. It's just going to make yourself feel worse, physically worse, prolong the recovery. There's no benefits of doing it. But at the time, you're thinking, oh, I've got to do it. It's the most important thing. I have to do it.
Yeah.
So, it's important to step back and think about the bigger picture sometimes.
What has he prompted you in any way about what you would actually talk about?
No, he just wanted to book me on, and he hasn't said anything.
Fair enough.
I think it'd be similar to this, just chatting.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Do you know Samuel?
Yeah, really well. Yeah, obviously when I was in like junior top squad and then turning first year senior and stuff, I was training with him all the time and stuff, and I used to speak to him all the time. Used to sit at Lillishore in the dining room with him, having food and stuff, and I used to look up to him, a role model of mine, and
Nice.
Back where like it was the old school Lillishore, with the old setup,
Yeah.
You've got even before we had 2 floors, it was rhythmic floor and then the old continental. And then they moved the continental to there. Then we had the new floor, before then, and then the beams were, at the entrance by the floor,
Yeah, before it was all like rejigged.
And then you had the pommel area. They have destroyed it.
Yeah, they really have.
Bring back the old Lillishore, man. That pommel area used to be it was so sick because everyone used to just lean on the pommels. It used to just be like a little social club. If you was on pommel, it was a social club. You see everyone on pommel because they were like put like all around each other, and we used to all use the same one, which was like in the middle. So everyone used to be like in a little circle, leaning on the pommels, just talking to each other. It used to be so sick. Like, it used to be such a vibe, that pommel area. Now they're just in a line like this. So like, one will be training on pommel over there, one on the other. Sometimes you won't even train on pommel together because of like how far they are apart. Whereas before they used to be like together, like in a little square unit. If there's any gymnasts out there, who remember this, like, yeah, it was such a vibe. Yeah, I miss it.
Bring back the old pommel area.
Bring back the old pommel area. Because this way, it used to be by the high bars as well. So like the people, if you was on high bar, you would tend to sit on the pommels, and then so it used to be all together, and the rings frames were there as well. So if you're on rings or high bar over hard or on pommels, you used to all sit together. Whereas now it's like,
I don't think that's the main concern for them though. I think it's more like the efficiency and the
doing a job and not having fun.
Although there has been a more of a focus on having fun. Fair, though.
No, I'm only taking.
Yeah, well, I do like Lillishore. Do like training there. It's good equipment.
Good equipment. Yeah. No, it's good. It's a very good facility. Yeah, it is incredible. Yeah. And like the food as well, like the accommodation, it's all like, it is so good.
Food's actually gotten a lot better.
The food is good. The accommodation is incredible. Unless you're in psych ward, which is basically, we call it psych ward, is in Queen's Block, on one of the places you stay at Lillishore. You have a window in your room.
That one.
Yeah, the window in your room looks onto a wall in the building. It doesn't look out to the other side of the Queen's Block. You have a window, it looks out onto the yard. Whereas the other, you have a window that looks onto a wall in the building. So that's why we call that's psych ward. That's why we call it. It's terrible. You have that room. It's like, I think it's like an odd number. If you have like an odd number in Queens, your room number, if it's odd, you're in psych ward.
It's just a view of a corridor. It's not even like a view. It's just a corridor.
It's a white wall.
It's a white wall.
So if you look at your window, you're looking at a white wall. It's terrible.
That's why it's cycleboard.
That's why it's cycleboard. And all the corners in your room are round, so you can't injure yourself.
I didn't even realise that.
No, I'm taking the piss.
That makes sense. No, I was thinking because they have like the.
There's no wires. Everything is safe. You can't injure yourself.
If you bring any wires, they're confiscated.
Yeah.
There's no fork, so you can't stick
no
it into the
forks,
electric
only,
flux.
Yeah, only spoons. Plastic spoons.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me on the Game of Gymnastics podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
I hope you'll join in listening to the next one.
I definitely will. Looking forward to it.
Cool.
Awesome.